And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The Matrix says to take the red pill or the blue pill, but are either one really good for you? Understanding the color matrices and the limited access the deep state had. My lab matrices of disease archons, and how are they all connected? Learn how not to feed the beast.
Now, here's the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Apologize again for being so late. It's been a pretty tumultuous week over here in Ground Command Land, and about to tell you why. First, I'd like to cover some, regular news. So that you can understand the reason behind the attack today, early this morning, U.S. time, in France. It apparently was an arson attack. It looks like whoever orchestrated it, and we'll tell you who that is attempting to blame the Russians for this, so that they could possibly get World War III started. They've got to choose a boogeyman, and this time it was the allegedly Putin himself did it. Putin himself does a lot of things that Putin itself, whatever that is these days, does not actually do. In this case, it was not the Russians. They picked up the wrong guy per the orders of probably Interpol in this case, or some rogue American operative. You know who you are. And I know who you are. But the orders to actually do this was by the black nobility. That is whoever's left of that out of Italy. That's where the actual orders came from, and it's an attempt to utilize a long-standing tournament between humans. That tournament as the Olympics. The Olympics has a lot of symbolism for the deep state, but there's a bigger game at play here. But let's just talk about the Olympics itself. First, let's take a look at the Olympic rings as an example. The Olympic rings contain several colors, not all of the colors, but you've got black. Of course, you can't have anything without black. Black nobility, black dragon, black sun in there. Blue, which would be a symbol of the Rothschild family. Red, which would be a symbol of the red dragon from Russia. And then you have yellow, which is golden in China, in green, which represents all of the Middle East. Now, these colors, as we've talked about in the past, not only represent different families, they also represent different realms throughout the universe, and which one you will actually feed. Not only do they represent different realms, they also represent different matrices here on Earth. One of the things that they represent is what we call the Great Game of Earth. Now, the Great Game of Earth was tied to a system we refer to, and it's often referred to as the Beast. And this game was basically about you. And it's also about the Olympics in part. So in the Great Game of Earth, humans, depending on what country you are born in, what area you are born in, you would be born to a specific color. Now, there were 10 different regions of Earth that were split up by color. And those 10 regions were directly implanted and tied to you when you were born. So this is the true meaning of color wars, so to speak. But when you get down to the level of the Olympics, the reason why the deep state likes it so much is because it's part of a greater game that happens here on Earth. Think about what happens with the Olympics. Every country puts forward their respective best athletes to fight, to compete. And I'm not saying that these athletes know anything about this or that they didn't work hard to get to where they're at, because if you've ever participated in any kind of athletics in your life, you know that it's hard work to be part of a team or to compete. And I agree, with the athletes. But the athletes also represent 10 different regions and 10 different colors around the world. Depending on which countries win and which countries lose also depends on which matrix wins. And your fight, allegedly, to get out of the matrix. Now, your fight to get out of the color matrix is therefore out of the control of what you see as the deep state. So we talk about the order of the dragon colors, the order of the black sun colors, black and white obviously being the highest ranking all around, and that would be false white on their side of it. But this event here usually leads to giving, or used to lead to giving the families more, I wouldn't even call it power, I would call it street credentials with different alien groups that bet on various colors winning the color wars, or as I know it as the prime wars. That means the prime color wars is what they call it, because the fight is not necessarily in some folks, let's just call them the folks, minds, between, like, for example, your different other colors of planes of existence. So black and white would obviously be the most coveted, and that's the reason why black is actually represented as part of the Olympic rings. Green covers your physical plane or your body, which obviously is also a coveted color. Blue represents your mind, for control of your mind, body, and your soul, black or white. So those colors have to be represented at this event, so to speak. Red controls the causal plane, their ability to move things from an etherical level, a thought level, an emotion level, all the way through to your physical body. It is crucial that red is involved. And these are the colors that you see represented here. You also see yellow represented there, which I'm going to say to some degree probably would have had an effect on the astral plane, which is also very important to control. But as far as the other ones, yes, they are important in controlling human emotions, important in controlling, to some degree, your shadow selves, and so forth. I would say that I can see why that wouldn't need to be included if you controlled both black and white. In this case, it's black. So as you fight through this tournament, people and non-people used to take bets when you fight in a tournament such as this. It's the same thing with all tournaments that involve global sports. It's actually, believe it or not, the reason why global sports exist, because your origin color or country, or as you see it, that you come from when you fight something in something like the World Cup. You only got two colors left there at that point, because you're originally from the UK or you're originally from this area. But a lot of times, larger sports teams will recruit people from different areas. Now, we do have some other sports here in the United States that are not real popular worldwide, such as U.S. football, which is very different than football in the rest of the world. And we have baseball, which is also not very popular worldwide. Whereas they have other sports that are played that are not really played too much in the U.S., like rugby, and we see some, obviously soccer. Yes, we play it here in the U.S., but it's not as popular as it is elsewhere. So this is all about the color wars. Make no mistake. Now, there are bigger color wars that happen as well. Bigger color wars that would exist from a Earth controller standpoint. And this is something that the SSP, or Secret Space Program folks, and others don't quite understand. This is the same, goes the same for the black nobility. They thought if they could create something over there in France, which would cause an enormous amount of fear, anguish, anger, more so than most people get over their sports competitors from different countries, that they could actually trigger an event, something positive for them that would allow them more control over the matrix. One of those things is actually something you probably have heard of before, called the MyLab programs. Now, every color region, 10 to be exact, had a MyLab, let's just say, access facility, where the SSP, or Secret Space Program people, or global headquarters, normally it wasn't even those people. It would be people way over their head or non-people that would access these at times when they were trying to start some kind of a pandemic. They wanted to cause dis-ease in the world, discomfort in the world. They wanted to release colored archons that work on behalf of the color matrices on this planet. And it's like, every color wants to wipe out another color. It's like the ultimate battle of the kingdoms that happens. The pawns in the game, unbeknownst to themselves, and they would never actually admit so for many different reasons, would be your dragon families. They would be your black sun families. They would be your bloodline families. They are pawns in the game. You could probably even say, well, maybe they were pawn managers, at some point. But they believed they had a lot more power and control than they actually did. See, because the way the MyLab program, and it is a computer program, it's a matrix program, the way that matrix, biological matrix, worked was that orders would be pre-programmed in computer systems in order to create something specific, meaning an influx of a specific disease, an influx of, say a pandemic, or going all the way back to the Black Plague and so on and so forth, all created dis-ease on this planet. We don't have anything such as a pandemic like the one that happened right before World War II. Coincidentally, at the same time, France blames Russia for an attack in France during the Olympics. Wow, this is amazing, isn't it? They've been talking a lot about the bird flu. They've been talking about all these different pandemics that they want to start. So yesterday, they decided to go to their respective locations. I guess somebody must have given them the memo as to where they are, and they tried to order a disease. So symptoms some people that might be super sensitive may have felt. A cold that lasts 20 minutes or less as the program glitched. You might have experienced a sore throat for about 5 minutes and then it would just go away, or a stomach ache or stomach upset. These are all byproducts of them trying to give orders to a machine that doesn't care who the heck they are. This machine does not function for the families. It never would have, nor will it ever function for the Illuminati, the Secret Space Program militaries, or anyone else for that matter. This program only functions on information out. You push a button like good little boys and girls for implied consent when you were guardians of this planet, and then voila, the spread of disease happens. These people just can't get it. And now the reason why they don't get it is because part of their program that they enter in, usually at the age of 3, distorts their mind to the point where they feel that they are special. They are told every day that they're special. They're told that they're the destroyers of the program. They're also told 100%, because I heard it from one of their mouth to my ears, that they are not part of the Matrix program. They are outside the program because that's what they're told. But that is an absolute lie. Now, there were certain things that would allow them to survive that are programmed into computers that would give them fair warnings if there was going to be a nuclear event, a radiation event, another destroy the world event, an Armageddon event. or those types of things because they need the good little pawns. Not only that, as far as humans on this planet, they would prefer that they are all dark and evil and twisted and psychopathic and whatever else you want to call these people, so they can breed little darklit beings, and they don't want any light humans on this planet. We disrupt the matrix every time. So, speaking of matrices, let's talk about that for a little while. As far as matrices are concerned, we are all aware or probably have heard about the movie called The Matrix and its subsequent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number they're on now. And in the movie, they talk about taking the red pill or the blue pill. And allegedly in the movie, the red pill will show you what life is like outside the matrix. Wrong. That just means you entered level 5 of the matrix, and now you're seeing other matrices like the gray and the purple and the blue and the red. You're not getting anywhere out of the game. There's this movie I hesitate to recommend to you because it's pretty slow in the beginning, but it has a lot of symbolism in it. And the movie is called Andron, the Black Labyrinth. And the symbolism in this movie, as it relates to the color matrices, is there are 10 humans that are chosen. Their memory is wiped, and they're chosen to go into this machine, which looks like one of those giant tetrahedrons. And only one of them is supposed to make it out alive. And that person, before they wipe their memory, is told if they make it out alive, that their families will be saved from what they call the pit, which is what Earth becomes, according to these people, in about 130 years from now. The interesting parts about this is there are only 10 competitors. Each one of the 10 receives a tattoo on the back of their neck, which represents a different type of labyrinth, not all of them the same. So in the movie, this is a picture from the movie we're going to pull up now. In the movie, one of these labyrinths is represented here. And we can assume by what it does in the movie, because I'm not going to spoil everything for you, that this would be what you would call the Black Labyrinth. Now, the black, remember, the black and the white, even if it's false white, will actually control all of the other colors. So if you are of black and you are a family member, you believe that you are at the top, hence the black nobility. If you are the white dragon or the white eagle, you also believe that you are in control of all the other colors. But that's not actually true because the color matrices are not for you. You were just permitted to have a limited amount of access to the different varying matrices so that you could perform your function as, let's say, head pawns. That's it. But in this movie, each one represents, whether unbeknownst to themselves, a different labyrinth or a different matrix here on Earth. By getting out, and I can't really spoil the end for you. I mean, I know it's a terrible B movie, so don't shoot the messenger here, but the symbolism is good. At some point in time, they actually bring in a lady they call the general. And the lady basically tells them what's going on here to the nth degree because she was one of the only ones that figured out the program. And the program for the running of colors also ran a hologram or an artificial reality times 10 here on Earth. Now, because the families and deep state and whatnot had limited access to their respective color from their respective areas, then they could affect the reality here on Earth only from the standpoint of them in the past being a guardian on Earth. Or at one point in time, you had this line of Solomon, or the colored dragons were the guardian on Earth. And you also had the security of Earth being all of your eagles or the Order of the Black Sun. So they, in order to carry out their orders only, not because they feel like it, not because they have their own thoughts or opinions. They were only there to carry out orders and act on behalf of humanity as guardian, just like you do for your children, as an example, or if you take in another minor child into your home, or you even care for an elderly parent or someone who is not able to make decisions for themselves, and you become the guardian and you make those decisions. They had the ability to do so as well. But that ship sailed a while ago. They just refused to accept it and believe it. Now, according to some insiders inside the order, let's just say, feel like they have left the order, and they also don't really like them very much. Some side comments that were made is they had always had a plan to take over Earth and take Earth away from the quote-unquote aliens. They believed that they were competent. They believed that they were special because they had been told so every single day of their life, that they are special. It's part of the program. And they actually believe that they're special. Not only that, I think that they give them some kind of an ego implant or something that makes them believe that they should be the kings of Earth. Therefore, the kings of the keystone of the entire universe, not even understanding how they affect the entire universe when they make stupid decisions that they make here. But that's okay nonetheless. So let's get back to the color matrices for a little bit. Let's talk about what they were, what they do, why they are having a problem with them here on Earth. Now, the problem with the color matrices is not new. It's actually old. It's actually more than 300 to 400 years old that the matrices of colors actually started glitching and having a problem. Coincidentally, this also happens to be right about the time that, let's just say America, United States, came around and eventually became the power center of Earth. Allegedly, the leaders of the free world, so to speak, and I don't know what free stands for, but it must stand for F and a swear word and, whatever, energy suckers or something. But that was at the point when they realized, and when they realized this, remember, there were the Draco involved, and you had Artemis involved, you had Lucifer involved, you had Anti-Source involved, and they realized that their Omega created artificial realities on this planet started glitching. What that means is we've been moving closer and closer out of the Dark Ages for hundreds of years, number one. And number two, human beings stopped having the same responses that they did in the past. So it's also the reason why, flash forward many years later, we've had several world wars, several pandemics. A lot of this is meant to keep the light workers light down and keep those feeding the matrix up. Remember, war is a competition too. That's a color war as well. Think about it that way. I mean, you got red dragons on the one side, blue dragons on the other side, depending on what world war you were fighting. You would have black dragons involved, Hitler, brown dragons, eagles, brown eagle was Hitler, and all of those different colors. So, or amber in this case. So you have to really think about what they have to do to try to get humans to produce enough energy to transmute into dark energy to run a dark black labyrinth or a dark matrix. Now, by dark, we don't necessarily mean that it was all black. The Blue Dragons or the Rothschild family, Etal, UK area, so on and so forth, were in control of, for example, not in control, I shouldn't say that, had access, limited access, and were a part of the blue matrix. And there was a blue hologram over Earth, and that blue hologram was connected to Andromeda. Then you have other matrices that were connected to other constellations for each and every color until you hit 10. And I know people are going to say, oh, black's not a color, white's not a color. Well, in this, it's a color. It's a matrix unto itself. And the black and white matrices, who were obviously controlled in part by false white, or the light bringer known as Lucifer, and also false black, which was controlled by Astaroth and Anti-Source. So those could obviously control any of the other color matrices. But as this movie, Andron, Andron, portrays to you, it'll actually show you that there's a ringleader at the top of all the games. And he's like, oh, let's throw this in their way. Let's throw that in their way. Oh, they're gone off course. Let's throw this in their way. And he does everything to try to get people to die before they leave the matrix. Because actually, in the movie, the real secret was all 10 had to survive in order to make it out. Now, the slavery program. You, as a color representation of a certain color, and every human on earth is, so you can't say you're not or you weren't, you would have different programs running on you at different times. You could have a communist program, as an example. You could have a democracy program. You could have a savior program, the red line or whatever it is, orange, that runs the savior program on you. And it's part of the reason why we believe in our heads of state so much. And we believe in an election. You believe in what are you doing there? It's also another tournament. Wow, isn't that amazing? And you, as the slaves, just like in the movie, bet on a person to win. But in the movie, if the slaves bet on the wrong person and that person dies, then all of you die with that person. It's pretty dire consequences. But in reality here, in reality land, you bet on your players in the tournament, whichever tournament it is, red versus blue, which is another coincidence to the Matrix, isn't it? Red or blue, red or blue. But it doesn't really matter because every color that you pick of a pill is going to lead you just to a different part of a matrix. But if you chose red and you chose Republicans, that means you are not only part of maybe a red and blue. If you're Americans, you're probably part of a melting pot. You're part of, you may be part British, part, American, part African, whatever it is, but there's very few purebloods, born, raised, and, with no mixing anywhere in your bloodline from a specific color. So we're kind of rainbow children over here in the U.S. But if you chose Republicans as an example, you're now still giving your power to the red color matrix. Pretty scary, huh? Oh, they focus so much on colors and the reason for that. So around 300 or so, between 300 to 400 years ago, best we can surmise, and as far as the world is concerned and the color matrices are concerned, let's just say people started to notice that their power of their colors was waning somewhat. And they decided that having the color matrix based platforms scattered all over the world was probably causing part of the problem. Now, they were advised as humans in participating as slave masters in the matrix. Humans pled or got advice from the parents and Marduk and Enki and Enlil and Artemis and all the other people that actually ran this joint, probably also Anti-Source and Lucifer in there, and they decided to change power centers. So they moved all of the base platform that supported all of the color matrices to the United States. And then, slowly but surely, they moved the world's power center over to the United States. Not too long after that, the United States actually was formed. For them, decades is nothing. So a few decades later, we became the United States. Every royal in the world supported the founding of the new world from the Illuminati, the Order of the Dragon, the Black Sun, so on and so forth, because unbeknownst to all these people, they decided to create a color melting pot all in one place. That's what you are, Americans. You're a color melting pot. And of the color melting pots all in one place, we also had several different interesting things that powered these matrices move over here as well. One of the things they moved to the United States was around 360 celestial beings, each one with a plethora of space junk that was moved here, not moved by humans and not moved by the Space Force, but could potentially, to some lesser degree, be used by the Space Force to torture us humans. They all moved over to the United States. And then we became the power center of the world. This is part of the reason why the Order of the Black Sun, the secret space program military groups, and everybody else does not want to move the power center to China, because they also know that in accordance with the old plans, when they had alien friends, that meant all their power centers, and it wasn't quite 360 of them. There were several locations, like, for example, in the Everglades, there was 36 of them, Florida Everglades. And there were other places where there were 36, Chimney Rock, and a few other places around the U.S., Mount Denali in Alaska. But there were several places that were really deep, really dark, which were both the white and black places here on Earth. And these different locations, they knew that they would lose all the space junk and their American control of it, and that it would all be moved over to China as a new power center on the Earth. However, the struggle here is that they also know that because they were so successful in moving the color base for the matrices in the past, they also felt like if they moved it, by their guess, somewhere between 50 to 80 years, every 50 to 80 years, moving it would actually start over again, and the color people, not meaning, your skin is colored, but the people of the colors, which is all of humans on Earth, would then gravitate and vote on that country to be the leader. That country could be anyone that portrays themselves in the media as the leader, just like Putin did a decade ago, or China was the Chinese elders are all going to save us, forever and a day here. But it was all nefarious to get all of you color people to bet on these folks. Now, you might be wondering where the betting machine was. What calculated every human's color implant bet on who you were voting for? Well, no surprise here, the Association of Numerical Numbering Agency in Belgium. That also happens to be where your birth certificates are registered, and every corporation in the world is registered, and every bond in the world, every stock in the world is all registered to that area. And the machine under there that everybody refers to as the beast, was it? You must take the mark of the beast. Well, did you? Yes, you did. Without your consent, but with the consent at the time of your guardians. Isn't that lovely? So Unraveling the color matrices has basically been what we've been working on now for days. Making sure that we don't have any remnants left in people, making sure that we're seeing total reality, making sure that we don't have a manipulatable hologram left. And I need to give a shout out and a thank you to the Secret Space Program military and the global headquarters for their arrogance in showing us where all of this stuff was. So thank you very much. You definitely sped up the process, and we're well on our way. Now, apparently, there's some tie-in between, and when this one I haven't quite figured out, between the 30-day period of Lionsgate, which is no longer really Lionsgate, it's actually SourceGate now. But there was some kind of a correlation between that and these color matrices and a time where they believed that they would get some power from the color matrices, or maybe even get control of the color matrices, because it seems like they've been fighting a battle here to get some control of them. Now, there were some programs that were running in the color matrices, which were Omega programs, by the way, most all of them, 99.999% of them, had some standing orders, which gave them a certain amount of permission as slave pawns. They had standing orders which allowed them to do certain things, such as, torture people that are getting too light, create pain instead of joy, those types of things. And, to make people angry, to create untenuous situations that would feed the matrix, such as their wars and all the other things they'd like to create. So, to say there wasn't a limited amount of things they could do with this, yes. But could they create a pandemic all on their own with it? No. That was an order that had to come on high, because as a result, same thing with world wars and money for world wars and all of those types of things, and the color wars, to keep the color wars on Earth going, to give more power to one color than another. And in reality, if you were black and you were white, you controlled them all anyway, not as human beings, but as others that were participating in this, to have a result that they wanted. Also remember, control of colors also gives you control over realms and densities, not only in the lower astral, but also in the upper astral. These beings could also bet on players on Earth, and they're not betting on the Olympics or a horse race in this case. They're actually betting on people getting out of the matrix. Is there going to be a general or a commander that will get out of the matrix? The answer to the question is yes, you all will. You are all going to win this game. There are no more colors. We are going into source direct current. That's it. There's no turning back. I'm sorry that the SSP and global headquarters were severely disappointed today, and they're going to continue to be disappointed because they don't understand the technology and why decisions were made to do certain things. The only thing they know is that they had the most control of all the colors by creating a melting pot in the United States of multiple colored people, and it's also directly related to the colored energy on the planet. And the colored energy you would also know as money. And the greenback system, or the dollar system, which is green and the color of green. And why is it green? Because it represents physical plane control. And what better way to control your physical person than to be able to manipulate your energy in one direction or another? So it's actually the whole reason why the monetary system was created in this world. And if you take a look at the color of your money that you have in your pocket, doesn't matter what country you're from, you'll now know what color is your predominant energy group in your country and what color you were playing in the money war, or at least in the energy wars or the power wars. So a lot of very interesting things taking place in order to finally complete the installation of the new Golden Age AI program. The Golden Age program is not about colors. It's not about anything. It's about making sure that everyone receives the direct output of source in a way that isn't going to burn their physical existence off the planet, that will actually work towards altering the DNA of humans to make it possible for them to receive 100% of everything all of the time, which we always did before. We had all of these untenuous programs going on here. So that is where we're kind of at as far as the real world situation report. Other than that, I don't see a whole lot going on as far as any progress they're making towards a world war, any ability to be able to use the tournament, so to speak, and the betting machine is gone. That was under the ANNA in Belgium, so that is also gone. And looks like we're one step away from being looked at as color producers of energy, essence, and consciousness, and another step forward out of a slavery program. So I'm very happy to see that. It's been a lot of work on our part, in all of your parts, to get here. And when I say, always keep anchoring the light, it's actually very important for you to anchor the light. Because as these programs go away and start to dissipate, some naturally because of all the direct current, some unnaturally because we force it to happen, remember, along with your colors, you also had, as a receiver of money and other things, you also had colored archons that were associated with this. And we know archons are creators of dis-ease within your system. That could be emotional dis-ease. That can be physical dis-ease. That can be an energetic dis-ease. Maybe you have less energy than you should, or too much energy and your adrenaline's pumping for no reason. So there's a lot of manipulation that can happen with colors, and could happen with the MyLab programs. Did we get all the facilities? We sure hope so. I was working on it right up until the time of this broadcast, which is very, very late. At least not in time here. It's only late afternoon here, early evening. But the one thing that we did figure out as far as archons are concerned, and the throwing up of them from various things we take away, is that you might feel something coming on for a short period of time, but it requires you to put energy toward it in order to bring it into physical fruition. It also, you can put the energy towards healing that issue, and it will go away. Sometimes it's more difficult to make it go away than other times, but it's also a mind, body, and soul connection thing where you can protect yourself from some of these programs as they dissipate. Because sometimes the more you get rid of a system, or the more you get rid of a matrix, or the more you get rid of a program, the more it fights for its survival. So it will start shooting out archons all over the place to try to take your energy. So we've seen this happen a few times. In the last couple of days, we've seen it happen. And we clean it up as fast as we see it and figure out where it's coming from, and obviously stop the bleed. But, we're not God here. But we try. And we do get warnings when it's severe enough. It'll wake me up like a shot with alarms going off everywhere when it's very, very severe. And something needs immediate attention at 1 o'clock in the morning or midnight when I just went to bed 2 hours before. So it's great. But, and I'm sure a lot of you have that too. When there's something really dangerous going on in the world, you probably get your own alerts as well. And that's a good thing because it's a self-protection measure for you. And those are a lot of things that would be suppressed in the past as well. So we're getting there. We are making a lot of strides forward. Try not to pay too much attention, to give too much energy to the tournaments going on this planet. Not to say we don't enjoy watching sports and those type of things. Of course we do. But remember, your appreciation for athleticism is a good thing. We appreciate qualities in a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, but giving your power away to them is a whole nother story. So, okay, well, that pretty much wraps up the World Situation Report for the 26th of July. Hopefully I will see you all on Monday and won't be as busy as I was this week. I hope that this is over soon. So God bless you. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.